side when she walked through that door. The most beautiful girl I'd ever seen before. Sea green eyes and long blonde hair, cool smooth smile and didn't have a care. I don't know why, but she walked my way. I was scared to death, but I was ready to play. Love at first sight sets the spirit free. I felt the dark clouds part, I heard the angels sing. My heart caught fire and my soul can fly. That's when I knew I had to make her mine. Two days passed before
Hello, everybody. How you doing? Oh, let me get my stuff together. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey, and this is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans, where all Middle Americans are welcome. Doesn't matter where you've been, where you go. It just matters that you're here right now talking about Middle Americans. We do not pay attention to the 20% of the crazies on the left or the 20% of the crazies on the right. We're only concerned with Middle Americans and Middle Americans' lifestyle, doing what's right and what is best for Middle Americans. Now, Middle Americans are the strength of our country. That's where the majority of people that are in the police force and the fire department and the United States military and open up businesses. They talk about small businesses. What they're talking about is Middle American businesses, right? So we have a philosophy around here that we're not left or right. We're independent, and we're going to make the best decision for Middle Americans because some of the people on the left have great ideas and some of the people on the right have great ideas, and then they get convoluted by the parties, and then the crazies take over on both sides. But we can support both sides if they have a good idea. And as long as they have good ideas and it's good for Middle Americans, that's what this show is all about. So there you have it. That's basically what's going on. So tonight, we are going to be talking about the Ninth Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. It is my favorite amendment. Why? Because it is not self-evident, and we do not take advantage of the Ninth Amendment to the Constitution enough. So, hey, Logan, how you doing, man? It's been a minute. I'm glad to see you. Hope you're doing all right. So, all right, so let's go and do this. All right, so there's my lovely wife, Tanya, right there. I sure do miss her a lot. We got a lot going on in my life. And then let's talk about we, the people of the United States of America, the greatest document ever written to the Constitution of the United States. And then this right here is, oh man, every time I do this now, it pops 8,312,955,645 people, and the United States of America is in debt $40 trillion. Man, that's crazy. Now, yeah, we're never going to get out of that. I saw something on the TikTok or on the gram or maybe Facebook. I don't know. Maybe YouTube. I don't know. I saw something about the idea of money and how money is controlled by civilians now, not associated with government. So civilians, so banks with Federal Reserve systems and international currencies and the World Bank. And what they do is they get countries in debt so that those countries have to pay the citizens' taxes to these banks every single year. And that's how the banks make money, is because the country's currently in debt. They've borrowed money from all the reserves in the world, and then they don't care whether the principal ever gets paid back as long as that good green cash keeps flowing in. And right now, I wonder what the interest is on $40 trillion. Isn't that an interesting idea? Hey, Carolyn Greggs Dooley, how you doing? I'm glad to see that you're with us. So, all right. So we're going to talk about the Ninth Amendment of the Constitution, but I got big news for everybody. I'm opening up a indoor golf simulator business in Cabot, Arkansas. It's going to be called Back Nine Golf. I have partnered with Back Nine Golf out of St. George, Utah, and it's going to be awesome. I love golf. I love being able to play multiple courses. I love the idea of being a business myself. We're going to open up probably in less than 5 months. But anyway, it's a franchise. It's called the Back Nine. Just partnered with them. I signed the franchise agreement, started the first thing. We're looking for a place to lease. We're going to work with people that are here locally, get a lease, and hey, your boy's going to be in business. How about that? So, so that's my big announcement. So look for big announcements about that, about when we're going to open and how to get a membership to that and how to come by and play daily play. We're going to have golf tournaments, and we're going to have leagues, and we're going to have teaching, and we're going to have corporate events, and we're going to have big movie nights where we're going to watch big movies together. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So I didn't think about getting into business myself until an opportunity like this came along, but yay, Mickey is now a franchisee of the Back Nine Golf system. So that's going to be absolutely great. Looking forward to that. So that is one of the freedoms I'm talking about. So let's talk about the Ninth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. You want to know why? You want to know why? This is so important. We forget that the Ninth Amendment to the Constitution actually exists, because all of the other amendments that are listed in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, they're all about our rights. So the government gave us a list of things that were not even questionable by the government. The First Amendment is the best example of it, because in the First Amendment it says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise there or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Number 2, also very high on my list behind number 1, which is a well-regulated militia to be necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms to not be infringed. Bang, bang, bang. Hey, there we go. Don Ledger, how you doing? Glad to see that you're with us. All right. So now that we've established that the government has made a list of things that they cannot mess with us with, my question is, why do I have to have a license in a lot of places to have a gun? Why do I have to have a license in order to buy ammo in some places? Why do I have permission from the government to do so things? That's the Ninth Amendment to the America comes from, because the simple fact of the matter is that the Ninth Amendment to the Constitution is my favorite amendment, because it says, and I quote, 10, 12, back in the enumeration in the Constitution, that means it is listed in the institution of the one you just talked about, shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Do you know what that means? That means that the founding fathers of the United States of America had enough brains in their little bitty heads when they were all combined to come up with a law that said, hey, look here, just because we don't list something about people being free and about Congress not being able to regulate it or not, does not mean that the people, the citizenry, don't retain the right to other things that the government shouldn't get involved with. The freedom, I call it the Freedom Amendment. I got to write that down so I remember it. I'm calling it the Freedom Amendment. Freedom, Freedom Amendment. Did you know amendment is a long word? I don't write that good. So, the Freedom Amendment. All right. What got me started on this? So, what got me started with this is when people said that you don't have the right to expect any privacy. Why the hell do I not have the right to expect some privacy? It's absolutely ludicrous that I don't have the right to privacy, according to some people. Now, my wife was a photographer. I'm a photographer. I actually started a business after I got out of the United States Air Force called Iron Horse Photography. I still have the website name. I didn't ever start a business. Photography was too hard. If you're a photographer and you do a good job with getting all of the things right in a photography and being able to capture a moment in frame, in focus, or with context, or being able to be a beautiful picture, there is an art to that. It's absolutely incredible if you can do that. I could do the triangle right, which is your ISO and then your light and then your shutter speed. I could do all that right, but my context of pictures was not that great. So I was not an artist when it came to picture taking. But one of the rules inside of photography is you're not allowed to take a picture of somebody when they have a reasonable right to privacy. What does a reasonable right to privacy mean? This is what got me thinking about this, because everybody says, hey, look here, if you're driving in your car, you don't have a right to privacy. Well, why the hell do I not have a right to privacy in my car? Well, you're in the public. Yes, I'm in the public, but it doesn't mean that I don't have the right to privacy. You don't need to know everything about me. You don't need to know whether I'm wearing underwear. You don't need to know whether my hair looks bad. You don't need to know what my thoughts are or what I'm saying. And to say that I don't have a right to privacy, that means that you get to follow me wherever I go. That's harassment. You get to follow me wherever I go as long as I'm in the public, and you just say that I have no right to privacy as long as I'm in the public? Screw you, man. I know that privacy is not listed in the Constitution of the United States unless you're talking about the Fourth Amendment. And the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution says that we will be free of searches unless a judge or magistrate says that there's an official investigation going on, and then the police then have a cause to get a warrant, and that warrantless searches are not authorized in here. But that doesn't have anything to do with my privacy in there. That has to do with me breaking the law. And you saying, hey, look here, we've got evidence that they broke a law, so now we can get into his privacy. But that's only saying that that is in my house. You're saying that I have no expectation of privacy anywhere except in my house? That I have no expectation to be able to go to a state park or be in my car or traveling across the United States, and I have no expectation of privacy. That you get to know everything about me. You get to know everything about me just because I'm outside. How about fuck off? No. How about let's not do that? So when people say that you have no expectation of privacy, that means that they are willing to get into your personal space, and they're allowed to follow you, and they're allowed to therefore harass you, or they're allowed to invade your space. We're human beings. We need space. We need some form of security. We need to believe that we are secure in our environment. And I know that people collide all the time. But here's what the thing is. If you're following me, that's just creepy. And if you know everything that I do, and you think that you have the right to know everything that I do, that's even creepier. You know what's even creepier than that? The government doing that. What if the government came up and said, you have no right to privacy? You know, it's in the court system right now. What you carry on your phone, is it up for the police to be able to search your phone? So when they arrest you, they're allowed to search you. What does that mean? Does that mean they're allowed to go through every one of your documents, every one of your papers, every one of your drawers, every one of your lock boxes? Are they allowed to look at your bank accounts? Are they allowed to go into your safe deposit boxes? Are they allowed to look at all your tax records? Are they allowed to go and just rip apart your life and look at everything that's on your phone? I don't think that they should have the right to do that. The courts are divided on this. The courts have said, yeah, the phone is free game. Police, if you can get into a phone, you can get all of the data off of the phone. They have programs right now where the police can go out and they can actively search your phone. Israel came up with a way to infiltrate your phone, not through malware, not through spyware, not through anything. They just have to send a signal and it will get in your phone and it will tell the Israeli government and probably the United States government everything about you, everything that's on your phone, where you been, how fast you go, all of your health data, all of your tracking data, all of your spending habits, all of your personal contacts, all of your photographs. They can download all of that stuff and they can go through your entire life without you ever knowing it. So that means that if you think that the government has the right to invade your privacy to that level and crawl up your ass and look around your intestines, that is bad on you, because I believe in freedom. I believe in freedom. And freedom means not only what's enumerated inside of the Constitution, the 10 Amendments, which are the original Bill of Rights, and then the follow-on 27 amendments, but the 17 amendments. So 10 and 17 is 27. I think we have 27 amendments, don't we? Dude, the other day we had an amendment question. I was taking a trivia, and I actually came up with the right answer. So 25, 26, 28. 20, 25, 26, 20. Yeah, 27 amendments. How about that? I got it right. Hey, look here. We need more amendments. But the 9th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America is one of those things where you just go, what other rights am I giving up? What rights am I giving up that I should not be giving up? So I made a list because I'm always making lists. Top of my list, the right to privacy in public and out of public. If I'm in my house, I have a right to privacy. If I'm in the public, I have the right to privacy. I have the right to my space. I have the right to my personal space. I'm going to write that down. Personal space. That means that you should not be able to get in my personal space. You know when somebody gets too close to you? Have you ever felt that little icky feeling when somebody that you either know or you don't know gets inside of your personal space? Do you like that? Do you? Do you like it when somebody's up in your personal space? Or do you have the right to defend yourself and push them away? And if you do, did they commit assault or did you commit assault? Because this goes beyond privacy. This goes to getting in my personal space. Do I have the right to my personal space? Because some people say, no, you don't have a right. You're in public. I can get right there next to you. I can be right in your face. I can be right in your face. I can be right in your face. You're getting punched. I don't like people being near me. I don't like people being near me. I'm telling you right now, I'm cracking you right in the freaking skull as hard as I can. I don't like it. I had somebody touch me at pickleball not too long ago. One of the most embarrassing moments of my life. I was playing pickleball. I coming off the court. I was minding my own business. I was not expecting it. I said something and somebody grabbed me here that I was not expecting it. And I instantly rolled my arm, pulled, and started throwing a punch right at the person's throat. Because I had him in an arm bar. It was an immediate reaction. I had him in an arm bar, and I rolled in, and luckily, I turned my head, and I recognized it, and I shut it down. But I was frozen for a minute because my natural instinct, when somebody touched me and squeezed, he didn't mean it. It was friendly. It was friendly. But it was one of those moments where my brain wasn't right. He touched me, he squeezed, I reacted, and luckily nothing came of it. But I was sitting there and my brain was locked for about 4 or 5 seconds when I had him in this arm bar. And anyway, it was embarrassing. But what would have happened if I would have hit him? Would I get blamed for that? He touched me. He touched me. Does somebody then charge me with assault? Do I have the right to my personal space? Do I have right to privacy in public? Do I have the right to be? Do I have the right to just exist inside our space? This gets into the abortion debate. Do people in utero deserve to just be? Right? Yeah, they got a mother, and they're in utero, and then are those babies just allowed to be? I believe that they are allowed to be. Here's the deal. I believe that everybody on this planet, this is one of the most controversial things that I've ever said on this show. I believe that not everybody has to believe the way that I believe. I believe in freedom. I think at the paramount, at the top of the right, that if we start making judgments for every single person on the planet, and we start making decisions for every single every person on the planet, then we are taking freedoms away from every person on the planet. I don't know what your religion believes. I don't know what you personally believe. I know what my religion believes, and I know what I personally believe, but I am not God. So I am going to say that I believe that you should not abort a child. That is my personal belief, but I'm not going to be God and then pass judgment on a person that has the want to have an abortion and has the ability to get one. Or am I going to pass judgment on that person if they do that? I'm going to let God sort that out. So I encourage people to find other alternatives to abortion, like adoption, or keep the baby, or have family members raise it, or whatever. That's my personal choice. That's what I would try to encourage all of the people in my life to do. But I understand that I don't make the rules for everybody. I don't make the rules for everybody. I don't make the rules for everybody in Asia or in Africa or in Antarctica or wherever. I don't get to make that rule. I get to tell everybody my opinion about their freedom so that they can make a decision. So, because I do not want to infringe on somebody else's freedoms, because I don't know what God's purpose is for them, and I don't know what God puts in their head. And I'm going to let God sort God stuff out. I hope that makes sense. Because this falls right in line with what is freedom. Freedom is hard choices about what we allow a government to do to us and how we let a government restrict us, and what should be a natural ability to have a right to do something, like the right to privacy, the right to your own space, the right to be, the right to exist. I hope that makes sense, right? How about parental rights? Does the government have the right to come in and tell you how to raise your children? When your children is 2 years old, when your child is 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, does the government have the right to come and take your child from you and educate the child the way that you want to? Or should you have the right to be a parent to that child? Until not the age of 18. I think the age of 18 is the dumbest rule in the history of mankind. 18, 21, 26, you name an age, I think they're all ridiculous. My kid was ready for kindergarten when she was 2 years old. I used to have conversations with my daughter straight up 2 years old. Big stuff. Big, huge stuff. Like, hey, what are we going to have for dinner? Hey, what would you like to do today? What would you like to read? Where would you like to go? I had conversations with my daughter when she was 2 years old. That's why I liked her so much. I didn't like her before she started talking. But then one day she was sitting in her high chair. She dropped a spoon. She said, excuse me, Daddy. Can you pick up my spoon? I dropped it. And I went like, you can talk? She's like, yeah, I can talk. It's like, how come I didn't know you could talk this well? She goes, well, you haven't asked me. I exaggerate a little bit, but that's kind of like what it seemed to me. She went from not talking to when she was 2 years old having full conversations. But what is my right as a parent? I'm going to tell you right now, my daughter was fully licensed to drive on all roads in the United States of America and Canada and Mexico when she was 14 years and 1 month old. My daughter, I will say that again for those of you that were in the back. My daughter was fully licensed driver in the United States, in all of North America when she was 14 years and 1 month old. Now, she could only ride a 250cc motorcycle, but she did not get fully licensed to drive a car with airbags and seat belts and a full roll cage until she was 16. How is it okay for me to put a person on a motorcycle that is capable of going 85 miles an hour, because that's what 250cc motorcycles can do, on a highway, capable of going anywhere in North America when she's 14 years of age, but I cannot get her a license to be in a car alone until she's 16. Make that make sense. So all these age restrictions that they put on us, they're arbitrary. The voting age used to be 21. Now the voting age is 18. Hell, we can make the voting age 45. What would stop us from doing that? That's freedom. This right here is the 9th Amendment to the Constitution. Somebody should sue, a 17-year-old should sue the United States of America for having a law that restricts voting to 18-year-olds. That's an arbitrary number. They're violating their constitutional rights as an individual for freedom. These are the things that our government's not supposed to do because we're supposed to be free, but the government limits us in everything that we do. The government has to have rules, regulations, statutes, laws. They laws to death. And every time that they do that, it is under the penalty of detainment, arrest, imprisonment, fines, restrictions. So every law has a consequence, and every single time that they write a law, it's probably infringing on your right, because I know your right to be free means that you should be able to run around naked if you want to, sing to the high heavens, be able to go wherever you want to go, be able to have bodily autonomy, be able to have privacy wherever you go, be able to be, and be able to do whatever you want at whatever age you want. But as soon as they get in the way, as soon as the government gets in the way, the 9th Amendment of the Constitution is supposed to come out and say, just because it is not written in the first 8 amendments or in the subsequent 18 amendments after this, does not mean that we are not free of that burden. How about that? How about the right to make money? How about the right to make money? Free trade. How about you and I? We just get along. But no, the government's got to come in there, got to tax that. Have you ever sold a pair of shoes on Facebook? Do you know that you're supposed to pay taxes on that? If you buy a pair of shoes from somebody, doesn't matter whether it's Amazon or your neighbor, you're supposed to pay taxes on it. Did you know that? Yeah, that's the rules. And every time that you do a side hustle, so you go over to your neighbor's yard and you mow the neighbor's yard, and they come out and they give you a $20 bill, did you know you're supposed to report that as income? I'm saying we got the IRS. We don't have free trade. We have regulated commerce in the United States of America, but we're supposed to have free trade. So whenever you look at this, do you have the right to make money? Do you have the right to treat free trade? Do you have the right to operate in a market economy? According to the Ninth Amendment of the Constitution, yes, but according to the United States government, no. It needs to be challenged in a court of law under the Ninth Amendment. We don't use the Ninth Amendment enough. The right to self-defense in all situations, not just dealing with guns and arms. How about to be able to contract freely? No license, right? You can't. Did you know in the state of Arkansas, you got to go to school for a year and you have to pass a test before you can cut somebody's hair? Before you cut somebody's hair for money? I went to go start a business today and I'm not allowed to build the inside of a building with the walls and the things that I need because I need a license. So that means I'm not free to build in the state of Arkansas without Arkansas's permission. How come I can't go build the walls that I need? Well, because you don't have a commercial license. Yeah, but it's just a wall. Yeah, but you might use the wrong nails. You might put up the wrong sheetrock. What do you mean the wrong sheetrock? Sheetrock is sheetrock. No, it has to be 5/8 inch because 1/4 inch sheetrock is not thick enough to stop a fire. Here's what the deal is. 5/8 inch sheetrock's not big enough to stop a fire either. Some of the most retarded shit I've ever heard in my entire life. You might use the wrong nails. Somebody might get hurt. Well, if somebody gets hurt, then they can sue me. Why is the government getting in the way of me being able to conduct commerce in order to build my business, in order to not be hassled? Why are they getting in the way of any of that stuff? In the state of Arkansas, only certain people can have liquor licenses. We have a liquor license law in the state of Arkansas. We have a ABC commission, Alcohol Beverage Control Commission, that regulates alcohol and alcohol sales in in Arkansas. Why? Why do anybody in the government give a damn if I make beer or if I make wine? Well, because if you make the wrong kind of alcohol, you could kill people. Awesome. If I do that, I go to jail and I stop making alcohol. It's called an unregulated market managing itself through expectations. Because if I start killing people, then all of a sudden, people won't come to my business. All right, what else we got on this? And finally, I want to talk about internet access, about all of the restrictions that are on you, and about, are you free to use the internet any way that you want to? Are you free to use technology any way that you want to? Are you allowed to pursue your digital dreams without restriction? This one's getting crazy because AI, the argument for the AI people is, hey, we're not doing anything illegal. So they're taking the Ninth Amendment and they're going, it's not illegal, so we're doing it. That might need to be made illegal. And that's what the function of government is. The function of government is to come up. I'm going to flip. I'm flipping the coin. Other side of the coin, because there's Mickey in the middle. We balance things around here. The other side of the coin is, how much is the government supposed to protect you? I don't think they're supposed to protect me from anything, but I do believe that they're supposed to protect the greater societal good. That's why I think they need to protect us from flock cameras. That's why I think they need to protect us from data centers. Why they need to protect us and have a free and open internet without restriction until you put a restriction on yourself. If there are criminals out there doing criminal stuff, go after the damn criminals, but you don't put a diaper on everybody because one person shits their pants. And that's what they're doing. One person abuses the system, and rather than taking that person out of the system, rather than taking that person out and throwing them in jail, rather than taking that person out and saying, hey, you're restricted from the government or the internet, they restrict the rest of us. And they go, nobody's allowed to do this because one person did. That's called everyone has to wear diapers because one person shit their pants way of doing business. Oh, no. Carolyn Craig says, stay out of my bubble. Yes, stay out of your bubble. Everybody stay out of Carolyn's bubble. So there you go. That's the show tonight. It's all about the Ninth Amendment, my favorite amendment, because everything is not enumerated in here, which is self-evident, falls under the Ninth Amendment, because you are free. You are free, and you need to act like you're free. You need to go, hey, look here, you don't have a right to be up on me. I have a right to privacy. You got to stay out of my bubble. I need to be able to have bodily autonomy. I need to be able to marry whoever I want to marry without religious or government interference on that. I need to have parental rights so that I can raise my kids the way that I want to, so that I can set them free whenever I want to. If I want them to stay in the house until they're 50 years old, that's great. But if I also think that they're ready to go to college when they're 13, they need to be able to do that. You need to be able to contract freely, and you need to be able to get licenses and live your life and make a living without government interfering with your life. And that means the freedom of commerce. So there you go. That's my rant for the day. And I started a business. Congratulations to me for starting a Back Nine franchise. It's going to be right here in Cabot. It's going to be Back Nine Cabot. It's going to be, well, I can't tell you where it is right now, but I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be freaking awesome. So with that, there you go. My name is Mickey. This has been Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans, where all Middle Americans are welcome. Doesn't matter where you've been, where you go. It just matters that you're here right now. Remember to like, share, hit the notification bell. And remember, I will see you most Wednesdays right here, 9 p.m. Central, right here where I am, right there we are. You guys have a great night. See ya!
It was love at first sight when she walked through that door. The most beautiful girl I'd ever seen before. Sea green eyes and long blonde hair, cool smooth smile and didn't have a care. I don't know why, but she walked my way. I was scared to death, but I was ready to play. Love at first sight sets the spirit free. I felt the dark clouds part, I heard the angels sing. My heart caught fire and my soul can fly. That's when I knew I had to make her